My brother is not a number. All these people are not numbers. They are humans.
It was frankly due to the grace of God that the 4 stabs he did get in didn't kill me. While I was sitting in the hospital recovering, I found out my attacker had just been released from prison the day prior.
I go to those crime scenes. I sit with those families who the medical examiners is picking their bodies up off the ground. I deal with this. It is a problem. I deal with the fact of me having a paralyzed son, the mental anguish that he goes through.
I looked at Eric's ashes and I said, Eric, you haven't died in vain. Things will change so other people are safe when they go visit DC or work in DC. And that's my goal, to make people safe.
This is both heartbreaking and a disgrace, what's going on in D.C. You just heard from victims of crime and their families in our nation's capital speaking out to stop this. But Democrats like Senator Chuck Schumer and the media claim there's no problem dismissing these crime victims. This is after D.C. police quietly settled a lawsuit with a D.C. sergeant turned whistleblower who revealed D.C. police officials systematically covered up D.C. crime, artificially cooking the books and downgrading felonies like robbery, violent assaults, and knife attacks to make D.C. appear safer than it is. Let's welcome retired NYPD Inspector Paul Mauro. Thank you so much for your service to the city and America, Paul. Great to have you back on.
Thank you.
Even after they cook the books, Paul, D.C. still has a higher crime rate than multiple cities like L.A., New York City, and Atlanta. But Democrats in the media like MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times, Politico, all cite that same manipulated crime data to claim that Trump's crackdown on crime in D.C. is unnecessary. What do you think?
Well, there's another police commander in Washington, D.C. who's currently under investigation. I believe he's suspended for doing the same thing. That's even more recent than the reporting we just got. So, undeniably, the stats there don't reflect the conditions on the ground. And let's remember something else. We tend to default to murder as the bellwether, and D.C. is not doing great in that area. But there's really the thing that people see. Thankfully, murder is comparatively rare. The thing that people see every day is the quality of life stuff. And D.C. is another city like New York that doesn't lock up its perpetrators, it locks up its toothpaste. And so when people are walking around the streets, they don't feel safe. They hear about property. 70%, 60 to 70% of property crimes in America are never even reported to the police. I can't imagine what the number is in D.C., where you're so shorthanded on cops that they can't even respond. And after a while, people despair and they don't even report. The conditions in D.C. are undeniably bad, and more level-headed Democrats will admit that. Even in the media, some of them are admitting it. And so you have this little bit of a schism going on. There's a little bit of a civil war. And what they're worried about is that what Donald Trump's doing is going to work.
And he could take it to other cities. D.C.,
right.
The 4th highest homicide rate last year. Homicide rate is higher than L.A., New York City, Denver, Boston. D.C.'s police union supports what President Trump is doing. The Washington Post poll found 91% of D.C. residents say crime really is a problem. Black residents, lower-income residents are the most scared of all. I want your reaction to Fox News' Griff Jenkins. He spoke to a D.C. resident who lost her son to crime. Listen to this.
Well, my husband first. It was the 1st of January of 2021. He was trying to help an elderly man, and he was stabbed to death. My son, somebody came up behind him and shot him 8 times, twice in the head, 6 times in the body, and he's a paraplegic now. So, believe me, gun violence is personal for me.
When you hear from city leaders and others that crime is actually down, are you seeing that?
No. I'm not seeing it. We're seeing carjackings, the violence in the communities. So we were advocating then for the National Guard to come out, but they said there was no need. But think about how many lives could have been saved just having them on the scene.
Think about how many lives could have been saved if they had the National Guard on the scene and were doing what Trump is now saying and is doing should be done. What do you say?
Such a waste of human resources. I mean, aside from the obvious family impact and all the other impact of this stuff, these are Americans, and we are forsaking them in our urban areas, because that's where this stuff happens. So for the sake of the chattering class in the media elites to go to cocktail parties and tell themselves that they're on the side of the angels. You know why? Because none of this impacts them. Donald Trump's doing the right thing here. It's going to be hard to export this to other cities, but that's what they're worried about. And many of them are playing right into his hands by denying that this is an issue.
Paul Mauro, you're wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.